Disney is only as good as their movie songs are.
You nailed it.
Because
so nailed
DreamWorks doesn't have the crutch of making a soundtrack that if the songs don't hit for you, you're not going to remember this movie.
Right.
DreamWorks has the ability to step back, make a powerful moving story with an orchestra, and making those connections of a character arc and having basically a film rather than Disney is making a movie, a musical to make kids be entertained. And if those songs are not good,
it's nothing,
because the story is only as good as they've had the same story for years, but it's the songs that put them above all the other movies. And I feel nowadays, especially if their songs are not good, the movie is horrendous.
Yep.
If they don't have songs, they can't make a movie.
Yeah.
Strange World is an example. I'm sorry, but that movie is horrendous.
Yeah.
But I think that's the main thing against Disney versus DreamWorks. DreamWorks has the edge where they do not need to worry about a song.
Yeah. Yeah. Their stories they're more heartwarming and family focused now, at least
DreamWorks?
in the last 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the last 20 years than Disney is now.
I agree.
It's such an interesting shift. Because I think Disney had that back in the day, like when we were growing up. They were like, oh, we've already done this. We're going to try some new stuff. And there's Moana. There's...
which is amazing. Moana was their last great feature film.
Yes, agreed. 100%. They had Tangled. So Tangled and Moana.
I love Tangled, dude.
Yeah,
Tangled,
they're so good.
I think it's in my top 3 for Disney.
That was my second pick for a fairy tale movie. Because I was like, oh, this one's really hard. I put Moana as an adventure movie, not as a princess movie.
Gotcha. I would agree with that.
But yeah, they're way fewer. And you don't feel the same happy, heartwarmy feeling in Disney movies, where you do with DreamWorks. And I think How to Train Your Dragon is the epitome of that. Because I haven't seen them in a while. I think I saw them when they came out, especially the third one. But shout out to Jay Baruchel as Hiccup. Amazing. It's such a perfect kid.
Gerard Butler, Stoic, is his best role he's ever done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so good.
Yeah. I watched all 3 in a week. Because I watched the first one. I think we watched the third one first, but then I knew we were doing this and I said, okay, I have to. The first one is so iconic. I have to watch it again because I've watched it maybe 4 or 5 times. I watched it once with my mom and she was a wreck at the end of the movie as well.
Yeah.
But after watching the first one, I watched the second one. So I watched all 3 in a week. And the story,
it's amazing.
It's the same thing with Kung Fu Panda 1, 2, and 3, where I think the second Kung Fu Panda is better than How to Train Your Dragon 2. So I would put the trilogy as a whole. I don't know, it's tough, but How to Train Your Dragon is definitely the greatest DreamWorks movie and one of the best movies ever made. And I think for Disney and DreamWorks, as well as Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon, tie up with some of the best Disney movies from the 90s, where I think Disney owned the 90s, but from 2000 and say 4, DreamWorks owns the 2000s to now.
I agree. I totally agree.
Where Pixar has had a lot of hits in the early 2000s, but from 2010 after Moana, it's all DreamWorks.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, because I don't feel as excited to watch a new Disney animation movie. I'm like, I'll pass. I'll watch a Pixar one. I'm more inclined to watch a Pixar movie over a Disney animation movie, but I'm 100% now excited for a DreamWorks movie.
Yes.
I don't know. It's good that there is, because you always want to say oh, Disney, I'm a Disney fan. It's sure, but it's okay to change it.
I also think DreamWorks has the edge in character design.
Oh yes,
the character designs in Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, Puss in Boots, the Shrek films, the bad guys, they're all so distinctly different.
Yes,
every character in How to Train Your Dragon is so appealing. Where I think it's a Disney movie, it's going to look like a Disney movie. Whereas every DreamWorks movie looks different. And the characters draw you to the screen, and you're falling in love with how the characters look, act, their personalities. They're created for the purpose of story. Whereas Disney, it's it has to look like a Disney film. All our princesses have to look the same.
Oh, and that's why, well, even with Wish that just came
Yeah,
out or is coming out.
it came out last week.
Okay. I was like, this looks like the Frozen characters with a 2D overlay.
Hmm.
And I'm like,
I'm gonna give
make
you a
it
hot
different.
take. I know they
Yeah.
wanted to. It's the Disney like their 100th film or something,
Yes.
and
100.
they
Yeah.
wanted to bring the new and the old together. But let me
Mhm.
tell you, there was one statement by one of the people making the film that said we chose to make it 3D and not 2D because we could do more with 3D over 2D, and I 100% disagree.
I
Because if
100%
it's like,
disagree
did
too.
you not look at any of your movies from the 90s, 80s, early
Uh-huh.
2000s? They look better. Disney's Wish looks so dull and boring.
It looks like bland.
It looks so
Yeah.
bland. I'm like, I'm not seeing this.
I think that was the one of the like the
Creative directors or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
she's like high up and
It's like, in what world
I'm like that's an opinion
can you
and I
say,
think it's wrong.
yeah, it's 100% wrong? All the Disney 90 movies look 1,000% better than Disney's Wish. And it's not just
Yes.
because you chose to do a mixture of both. So many movies nowadays that do both that look better. You have obviously Spider-Verse, The Bad
Yep.
Guys, The Mutant Mayhem looks
Yep.
better
Puss in
than Wish,
Boots.
Puss in Boots,
Yep.
just because
There's
you decided that you wanted to, yeah, the watercolor. Okay, the watercolor paintings,
you can do that with 2D.
yeah, the backgrounds don't look good. There's not enough lighting in this movie to make it stand out or do anything. So I think you're just trying to, they were trying to promote this movie because no one wants to go see Disney anymore.
I know. It's really sad. And
Yeah.
it's like I think they should take a break.
Yeah.
Like focus on other projects, fine, but like come up with something to really bring people back, not just chug out another one.
And also, do you think they even have, like, there's amazing artists in the world that
Oh
work for these
yeah.
companies, but do you think they even have the staff capabilities to do a whole 2D hand drawn on paper? Like, I guess not on paper, but like they have software now for hand drawn.
Right.
But like, I feel like everybody's so accustomed to building their skill set in 3D and all this stuff that hand drawn has kind of lost its way.
I think they do not like the number required for it because of the precedent that they've set. And it's really crappy to say that
Yeah.
because they said that this is our thing, this is what we're doing. We're going to hire, very talented 3D animators and this is going to be our thing. And they've essentially put themselves in a corner to limit what they can do with the development of this 2D 3D blend. That is, I think, that's the next logical step in how movies should go. So companies can still hire 2D and 3D animated artists without restricting what they can do.
Right.
Or yeah. So they're not in a position that they have to convince people to say this is much better than what we could have done with 2D.
Yeah.
It's like
That's such a lie.
everybody and their dog disagreed with that statement
Yeah.
if they actually like read it or heard it
Mm-hmm.
and thought about it for 5 seconds.
Because those artists are still out there.
Yes.
And if you look at an example, Netflix did a movie called Claws, all 2D.
Amazing. Yep.
Okay. What are you saying that you couldn't achieve? Your 3D movie looks so dull and boring that you said you couldn't achieve that with 2D when Claws did it not too long ago. But all your movies, your catalog is all 2D drawn and set a standard.
Yeah.
And you're saying you couldn't go back to that for this movie?
Mm-hmm.
The technology is all over the place.
It is one of those situations where they've put themselves in a specific corner. They put all their eggs in one basket, and now they're kind of stuck. And that's why I think they do need a little bit of a break from this because the quality is not there. Like we said, a couple of the 3D ones from the last couple of years, well, last decade, were phenomenal. Like Moana and Tangled, I think were the two best ones of the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Like 3D animation wise.
Yes.
And they're always coming up with new pieces of like animation technology to make it better or make the movie unique. But And there's always, there's something new that's going to wow you. It's like the water or the hair physics, or when they
Yeah.
do Pixar and they have like, they had Hank, the octopus, when the tentacles all moving. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that's
For Finding
amazing.
Dory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's always some new engine that they're creating to make the animation unique, but their character designs are definitely not up to par to DreamWorks.
You know what's funny about what you just said is that they create all these assets to create that,
Yep.
like the water, the hair, the tentacles, what you said, but they were drawing that back in the day without all this.
Exactly.
Look at
Exactly.
Ursula. They were doing that before Hank was invented. Just because you haven't
Yeah.
had the technology for 3D, you were doing this with your pencil and a piece of paper.
Yeah. Hands.
Water, Little Mermaid.
Yep. And that's there. I follow a lot of professional artists on Instagram because that's all I want my feed to be.
Yeah.
And there's so many of them that are very much against the use of like, especially AI in art.
Yeah.
Or using people's art to train AI. And I agree with that. It's like, keep it like with the professionals, like the people who actually do it. And yeah, there's definitely things that AI or like computer programs can aid in making their lives easier. Totally agree with that. But don't take the job away. Ursula was you nailed it. Perfect example. And yeah, Hank was cool. Definitely.
They even did it in Monsters Inc.
Yeah. With
His,
like the swordy guy or whatever.
and the fur.
Yeah, in the fur, yeah.
Like Sully's
Yeah.
fur in the first Monsters Inc. But yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
They're just
it's
excuses to
very-
make people go to the movie.
Exactly.
Because they don't believe in their product.
That's yeah. You can tell when something is said and it's not genuine excitement, or they don't fully believe it.
Yeah. Every single time a movie of theirs comes out, whether it's Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, they're always promoting some trailer when it drops that it says phenomenal, brilliant, best
Yeah.
in years. Okay, it's the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, and again, I think it's not to knock or diss any of the animators who've done like the new movies.
Yeah.
They're all tasked with a job. They have to do it, right? And they're probably some of the best in their field because they're working for these huge companies. But it's all a matter of who's telling them what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the part that I think we don't jive with very well right now.
And who's telling them what to do is creating content for a platform rather than a movie. For a experience in the theater, like a feature. They're not focused on creating their golden age catalog. They're focused on creating content.
Exactly. And I think that if all the companies strive to create a new golden age for themselves, that's exactly what is going to create good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have to push. You have to be like, it needs to be great. Not better than the last one, but it needs to be great in its own right.
I agree.